Today I have Veronica Evalian with me. Say hello.
Hi there, guys.
And how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great.
Well, good. I wanted to talk to you today because you and I sort of kind of had a run-in. That's how we got acquainted on Twitter through the sex bot viral thing that was going on about a week ago with the that company that's making the dolls. And that picture was getting passed around, and you and I, in sort of a roundabout way, became acquainted through the posting of that picture, and we kind of had a few words. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the sex bot revolution that's currently in its evolving phase. It's in its infancy right now, I think, and we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. So I know that you're sort of a vocal about it. You've been outspoken about it. So what do you think of the evolution of sex bots? And like I said, I know you're opposed to them. Can you explain personally why you're opposed to them?
I am absolutely disgusted at these abominations. I changed my Twitter name to Enemy of Sex Robots because I was just so disgusted that they are producing these creatures because they're going to have an AI in them. So they're kind of like a creature. They'll have this artificial intelligence. They're trying to mimic real humans as much as possible. That's really creepy that people are having such a hard time developing relationships with other humans that they're looking towards a machine, lifeless machine. They're trying to give these machines life with AI.
Right.
But really, they're just an empty husk, a little thing you can rape all day long. It's I'm really opposed to it for moral reasons. I see this as something that's destructive to our society because, like I said before, people are having. It's not really the robot itself. The robot is a symptom of the problem, and that's people are having a hard time developing connections with each other.
So you think that the robot is ultimately an impediment to that, an even bigger impediment to the already sort of rift that is in society as far as people in relationships. A lot of people aren't even able to find a relationship without these robots. So you think that's just adding fuel to the fire, or
It is, but those people are going to be miserable and lonely without the robots. So there's a deeper issue behind this. And instead of creating a robot, I think we should at least try to raise awareness and hopefully fix these problems in our society.
well, can you explain what you think the sexual novelty is behind a sex bot, and can you attempt to put yourself in a man's shoes and wrap your mind around why a man would ever just desire pairing with a sex bot?
A man feels these really strong instincts to create a family, to build, to construct, to protect. And right now, currently in our society, the man is having a hard time filling those needs for his instincts.
Mm.
He has this primal urge to have sex. I mean, that's what all humans have. But when he's being when he can't actually find a woman or he's not trying to, he sees the robot as being like, hey, this is something I could release my frustrations on instead of actually, taking the effort to connect with a real human being, start a relationship, and then you can have all the sex you want when you're married. Like that's how they used to do it back in the olden days. But our society has really changed. First came the sexual revolution, and it is so normalized in our society to go ahead, go have one night stands. And the man is thinking, this robot, I'm going to have a one night stand with this robot. Why should I take the effort to meet a human in the nightclub and try to talk her into going back to my apartment when this robot is just conveniently right here? Sex has really been It doesn't have any meaning anymore. It's just a primal release, a way to release frustrations. And it seems like almost every young person gets sucked into that. It's really sad. And of course, there's deeper issues that are, um, of course, there's deeper issues behind why this behavior is so prevalent, and it's just disappointing, you know.
So what void do you see these sex bots filling for men? Now I know that you said that there's some urges that they have there. In your opinion, why would a man want to pair with a sex bot as opposed to a real woman?
I think it's because the they want to start a family, right? And if they can't find a real woman to start a family with, they have the sexual urge to procreate with a woman. So the robot is filling that. Once upon a time, actually not too long ago, men used to just go to nightclubs and bars and pick up the drunken slut to take home. But it's getting harder. People are more socially awkward. Like a lot of these guys, especially the internet guys who just hide behind their Twitter avatars all day, you know who you are. You're watching this video. You guys, you feel so anxious when it comes to talking to real women. You don't have much experience, and this would appeal to you. And once you get all your releases out on the sex robot, what's the point of starting a real family? What's the point of being with a real woman?
Well, I'm a lot older than a lot of the younger people, and I just don't know how you could really have the kind of sexual intimacy that you would have with a human being with a robot. I just don't. I mean, there's a lot more involved than just the mechanical part of lovemaking. There's the intimacy, the bonding, the companionship. All of those things just sort of encompass being
They're
being with.
trying to they're trying to fix that issue with the AI. So the AI will learn and talk to you and will act like and touch you and act like a real woman. But you know deep down inside that's just an empty husk of nuts and bolts. It's not a real person. And I've had boyfriends in the past, and intimacy, I think these robots are appealing to people who have never felt intimacy. They think sex is just pleasure. And a lot of young people get sucked into this. I mean, I was sucked into it too. I thought sex was just pleasure, it's just making your man happy. But it's not, it's a deeper spiritual connection. And I understand now why marriage is so important, why marriage is sacred. And sex is sacred as well. That's, and I feel so sad for these people who have never felt that intimacy. They're never even giving it a chance because they think, oh, I'll just release my frustrations on this robot. But if they actually exercised, they're like the male equivalents of the ugly feminists. Those ugly feminists that are going around in the slut walks, they're obese, and they're like, "Ooh, you guys can't rape me. No one's gonna rape you anyways, because you're so fat." It's like
Right.
they're the male equivalent of that. They're not putting any effort into their appearance. They're not putting any effort into their personality, into trying to train themselves to be more social. They're scared, and it really makes me sad. I pity these people. I wish I can help them. I really do. We need to we need counseling for these people though. It's beyond our power. Most of them are just stuck in their room all day in their mommy's basement or mommy's house, and nobody's ever going to reach them, and they live very miserable lives.
That's true, and the it seems like people that the robots appeal to is that demographic, and we're going to cover more of that later on as far as why that's a problem or why um, there we even should be taking an issue with that. But given the current trends, the sex bot revolution appears to be a mainstay in our culture for better or worse. And what do you think the cause of it is ultimately? I know you were just talking about people sort of being isolated into, you know, in celibacy and hanging out in the basement. And is it technology? Is it the collapse of Western society? Is it errors in the gene pool? I mean, why are people doing this? Why would men want a sex bot as opposed to, like you said, going out and getting a real woman to procreate with.
I think a lot of this has to do with the capitalist system and very, very greedy, disgusting little opportunists. Those little opportunists, those disgusting people. These with the capitalist system, scientists, these so-called scientists, researchers, they research what people demand, and the opportunists create artificial demand. So when it's very complicated, but with this propaganda that they pump out, it really encourages men to stay at home in their basements, like the promotion of pornography. Now, we all know who started pornography, but pornography showed men, oh, these beautiful girls, you can never get them. All you can do is be a cuck watching them have sex with other people. And that really fucked up the man's psychology really damn bad. And with also pornography, you had very sexual TV shows. You had sex ed in schools, which has been really weird. They go beyond sex ed. It's a form of propaganda and social manipulation,
Right.
sexual manipulation.
Yeah,
And
I was always kind of puzzled by that. I got my first sex ed session when I was, I think, in fourth or fifth grade, and I'm thinking, why am I being taught any of this stuff by complete strangers? Why am I being told that safe sex is important when I'm, 9 or 10 years old? So,
I remember the thought when I was in sex ed class, my first thought when they were teaching us about the STDs and about how childbirth is painful and about how just sex and men, you should avoid it altogether. My first thought was, why the fuck would I ever want a boyfriend? Why the hell would I ever want to get married if this is true?
right.
I guess at the back of my mind, I had a bit of healthy disbelief. And that's why I'm married today. That's why I decided to research things for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back to the original question, the opportunists, they want to create money. They want to bring down Western society. These are very greedy, selfish, disgusting people. I think a lot of them are not conscious about it. Maybe it's a genetic thing. I don't know. Who knows? We don't have any research on this. But what we do have research on is ever since pornography has been promoted and been easily accessible, men have been less virile. The relationships between men and women have been permanently scarred. Did you know that in Australia, I saw an article where there's an epidemic among the 14-year-olds of destroying their butts. Like, I mean, to put it, they're practicing these sexual positions and sexual acts like sodomy that they see in porn. 14-year-olds are destroying their bodies. They're watching porn so young. They're destroying their innocence so young because like you could run into porn without even wanting to look at porn on the internet. It's everywhere. It's all over social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally everywhere and it gets addictive. So the man gets addicted to the porn, right? And they start seeing sex as only a pleasurable thing. And this is not only men, actually. Women start seeing sex as that too. And that's why you have all these feminists going around saying, oh, all vaginal sex is rape. All men wanting to have sex with women is rape. Because they're thinking that sex is only a pleasurable thing for men because that is what they're getting from the porn. That's the message that it's giving them. And these pornos, I've never watched a lot of them, but of course I've seen some. It's so hard to avoid them on the internet
Right.
when you're
Yeah.
young and curious, like, oh, what is this thing all the boys are watching?
Right.
So
Well, I
you
mean, you
look
don't
at it.
even. I mean, I saw my brother brought home his first porno magazine. I was only 7 years old. It was a magazine. So I saw my first when I was 7.
I was
So,
8 years old because we were looking for a video game or something, and we ran into a porn magazine, and we are like, "Oh, what is this?" And then we and my friend were looking at that magazine, and we were traumatized. We're like,
hmm,
"What the fuck is this shit? What the hell? What is?"
yeah.
We were just really we didn't know what to say, but we kept looking at it because we were so curious.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, it just seems to be an accessibility issue now where, like you said, it's everywhere. And on my previous show with my other guest, I was talking about how inaccessible it was. But I mean, even then, it was still accessible to children. I had my siblings bringing that type of stuff into my house. So, I mean, I just, whether it's the internet or
There's
spreading.
no, there's really no way of stopping this right now. I can't think of anything. We could try to spread awareness of who's promoting this and how it's affecting us. There's been many scientific studies done that relate porn addiction with being unable to get it up, with porn addiction and singleness.
Right.
And for women too, women can get addicted to porn as well. You never hear about it because women never talk about it.
That's true.
And I'm not, guys, I'm not addicted to porn. I know someone's gonna say that in the comments, but I have a friend whose ex-girlfriend was. She watched porn in the middle of class, and she was always wanting to try crazy positions that and crazy things that were just completely off the walls, and she couldn't enjoy, you know, being normal in the bedroom. It's really damn sad. So you have the capitalists, right? You have these greedy little minions creating a need for something. So they create a need for sex, a need for this pleasure. And how do you fulfill this need? Well, now that they've also um, helped made people socially awkward, the porn also promotes social awkwardness because you see this beautiful 10 out of 10 hot girl. The man thinks, oh, I could never get a girl like that, so why should I try? And they get depressed, right? So that's how they create social awkwardness. That's one of the ways. There's many ways. I could write a book about this stuff. But the capitalists create a need for this. And then they hire researchers. And these researchers are making more money than like people who are going into chemistry and other things that are actually needed, like studying how to cure cancer. Who needs to cure cancer when you can study sex bots and robotics and you go into the sex bot industry and you can make way more money right away? There's no guarantee for the cure to find a cure to cancer, but there is a guarantee that you can create a robot that looks like a woman and talks like a woman. So which way, Western man? You want the money, right? Because that's what the capitalist system does. It's like they are holding over a carrot in front of your nose and you're running on the treadmill. You want another analogy, you want to pass go and collect $200. You want to do whatever is more profitable. So that's why you see a lot of these. That's why there's a race right now. I saw an article. There's a race to create the world's first sex robot. Everyone's running to the race. Oh, we gotta create these sex robots. It's gonna be a hit. We can sell them for $10,000 each, guys. Wow. And all these money hungry, greedy people and scientists who want to make a lot of money get sucked into it as well. And nobody's curing cancer.
Right.
Nobody's. People
They're
are doing it,
giving
but
everybody
not a lot, not
instead of
enough.
curing cancer, they're giving everybody a case of impotency.
Yeah. So having a sick society in the capitalist system is more profitable than having a healthy, vibrant society.
Right.
They actually like people being sick. There's a conspiracy that they actually have a cure for cancer and that they actually created cancer. They create these products, like skin products, so it would cause cancer for you. Now, I haven't really looked too deep into this yet because there's a million topics you can look into, right? You can fall down the rabbit hole.
Right.
But let's say that's true, since it is profitable to have a sick society and cancer patients are paying tens of thousands of dollars for their treatment. If the cure for cancer is like some plant or whatever, well, let's ruin their lives and suck out their money with these treatments. That sounds like a better, more profitable idea. This world revolves around money. That's all it revolves around. It's very, very fucked up, very un-European, very. It's irrational, really, because shouldn't we want to create a better future for our children? But if you're not going to have children because you want to just fuck a sex robot all day, then
Well, people are easier to
you
control when
shouldn't
they're
care about the
slaves to
future.
vices like that. So,
Yeah, that gets into my other point, the vices. Drugs, alcohol, one night stands. Well, when those things become inaccessible to people, there's the robots out there to help you. It's just another vice.
That's true. Well, could you elaborate on women's role in the sex bot revolution? Women make up well over half of the world population, and yet there's a growing subculture of men who would rather lay up with a robot than bother dating a live breathing woman. What do you think is the explanation for that?
I it's both men's and women's faults. Of course, you can't blame every man and every woman because there's women out there who are feminist bitches. They hate all men. They are the most repulsive bitches ever. But then you have women like my friends, and I have two single friends, right? And they are both single. They're looking for a proper husband, but they keep running into these guys that are very pathetic. And I just tell them you gotta vet them out. You gotta look for the red flags, and you gotta continue to find that husband. You'll find that right man. I keep telling them that, but it gets really discouraging after a while. And some women do want that traditional family. They do want to get married. I mean, it's in our instincts to have a family. It's unnatural to not want it.
Right.
And then you have these men online that think every single woman is a feminist bitch, and all these women are fucked up and brainwashed, so they shouldn't even try. They're wrong as well because there are women out there searching. There are. I got proof of it. Proof is all over Twitter. You could find female accounts. You could ask them if they're single and ask them why, and they'll tell you why. Most of these girls will tell you that they just haven't found the right man yet.
Right.
Why don't you try to be that right man? Why don't you try to improve yourself? Why do you have to cry and blame others? Why don't you step up and actually give it a chance? Oh, it's not guaranteed, Avalion, that I will find a good woman. I'm in Portland, and there's not a lot of good people here. Well, you could look into other cities. Online dating's a thing. I'm sure not every single woman is disgusting in your liberal city. You cannot. How often do you go outside? Like, there's a whole big world out there. Women have these natural instincts. They could brainwash us all they want, but they can't erase those instincts. There's too many like crazy women running into these crazy men. And then you have both crazy parties are very loud. So they're telling everyone else. The feminists are going to the women saying, all men are crazy, all men will abuse you. The men are going to the MGTOWs, and they're like, all women are crazy, all women will abuse you. How about you stop abusing each other?
Right. I said, this was quite a few years ago, but before the sexual revolution in the 1950s, the MGTOW people and the feminists would be the ones pairing up and having children together, because ideally, though, they are diametrically matched.
They are, aren't they?
You know,
they are, but they're not giving each other a chance.
No, because each woman feels like she's entitled to the best man, and every man thinks he's entitled to the best woman. I mean, they all want tens. They want, the men want the 10 with the perfect body. The women want the guy that's 6 foot plus tall and has a big bank account and is really macho and all that. So, I mean, these people in olden times, beggars can't be choosers. They would take what they could get and have a family, get married.
In olden times, you had a community, and you knew everyone in your community. You knew their personality, and you could look past looks. You could find their inner beauty. Today, you have to get to know somebody to find their inner beauty. You have to take the effort to go out there, talk to them. You have to spend hours vetting them out to see if they match you. And a lot of young women are naive. I mean, I was like this in my first relationships. I would just be like, okay, I like this aspect and this aspect of this guy, so that means he must be perfect for me. That's not always the case. And it's unfortunate that the aspect of the community has been destroyed. It has been decimated with modernness. It's been decimated with propaganda. And I don't even know how to fix this right now. Like, I try to spread awareness. I try to bring people together. But I'm not God. I'm not a god. I'm just a little 19-year-old girl. The MGTOWs and the feminists are perfect for each other.
They are. They really are. They
But
would be.
they both need to reevaluate themselves and try to improve themselves and change their mindset, or else they're going to kill each other.
Or these are the ones that are ultimately going to be they're going to suffer the spoils of this, are going to be the ones to die alone. So ultimately, I mean, they're too young to know that now, but there are feminists that are feeling the brunt of that, and they're alone, drinking and dying alone. So, but I've
But
seen a lot of women rattled at the appearance of the sex bots. As of now, to me, they don't look anywhere near a lifelike human woman. They look like department store mannequins to me, and yet women are really bent out of shape about how they're being designed to look busty, like Jessica Rabbit, really voluptuous. Why does it bother women so much how these robots look if they're not real people?
I think it really bugs them because if the man using that robot wants to find a real woman, he's not going to find a woman with those body standards. It makes women feel very uncomfortable that this is the ideal female that men want. Men will spend thousands of dollars just to rape this robot that looks like this. I think it makes women, it just destroys their already very critically low self esteem.
Self-esteem is something that is an affliction for younger women, because I remember when I was younger, any little thing bothered me that my boyfriend would say or my friends would say about my appearance. As you get older, it's not as big of a deal. But I know what you're talking about. But I mean, there isn't any reason why a lot of these women can't strive to at least look like those robots. Because when I was 21 or whatever, all I had to do was go to the gym for a half an hour a day to look like that. I mean, it's really easy when you're that age. You know, you get older, it's not so easy anymore. But I mean, I just don't see how 21-year-old women can feel threatened by that when they have the tools to go out there and work hard to look like that if they really wanted to. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they could look similar to that. They can trim down their body fat. They can wear a push-up bra. They can try to wear different clothing that's more feminine and more attractive. But at the end of the day, to look exactly like that robot, most women would need surgery. Like, I don't have double D's. I don't have a petite nose. My nose
Yeah,
sticks
but
out.
you're a very pretty girl. I mean, you have no obviously, and you're married, and
But as
you're
a woman, we notice these little flaws and
but those
uh,
flaws are ridiculous. I'm telling
yeah.
you, it's where
If
you're
I'm
at now. These
still
are
single, I might be thinking that because of these flaws, this is the reason why I'm single. So a lot of women are so harsh on themselves for no reason, and it goes back to porn. Porn is really a destructive, cataclysmic force in our society. Women watch porn and they see these beautiful girls that are 10 out of 10 and they're like, oh, I can never look like that. But they don't think I can look like that. I can go to the gym. They don't think that. They think this is impossible. I give up. I'm done. Fuck my life.
okay. I know exactly what you mean, but I'm just saying when you're in your salad days like that, it's pretty much impossible to be ugly unless you really try, unless you really give up. Because your metabolism is great. You can melt the fat off, you can grow your hair and all that, and just look really good. I mean, there on one of the TV shows, one of the old women that I watched was saying, when you're pretty that age, when you're not even pretty, you don't even have to be pretty to be pretty. And I mean, I notice that when I see younger women, and they're not, model material, but in and of the youth and the the plump skin and all that, they're just full of vitality. They're already beautiful.
If we had proper women's circles and an actual community, we could tell young girls that. We can show them, we could set a good example. We can show them that, hey, look, we're happy and we're healthy and you could be too. If we didn't have these vices that are making these females unhealthy, such as these disgusting beauty products made out of like dirt pretty much, that's causing warts on their skin, and just unhealthy food that's so easily accessible and everywhere, it tastes
Right.
so good that these
Yeah.
women can't get enough of.
Right.
If it goes back to the destruction of the traditional community and the traditional family.
That's true.
You could trace everything back to there, and then you look at who promotes that destruction and what systems have promoted that destruction, and you got the root of the problem. You could pull the carrot out with the root.
That's true. Well, can you explain why women should try restraining the type of man that would go and partner with a sex bot? I mean, why would a woman even want to bother with a man that would consider pairing with a sex bot? Because the association right out the gate is that he's creepy and disgusting, and he's undesirable. So shouldn't women be glad that this is a sort of a red flag for them? That any guy that they may
I guess
be
so. Yeah.
potentially interested in is a loser, essentially.
Yep. That sex robot is vagina repellent. No, no girl. If I like visited a guy's house and I saw a freaking lifelike doll sitting on the couch wearing a bikini, I'd run the hell out of there.
Well, yeah, and I mean, just to
But
imagine
if
this.
the man actually takes a step back and says, "Hey, I should put some effort into myself. I should try to improve myself. I shouldn't just rape this lifeless object all day long," then he is worthy of having the female's accompaniment. And the real female will see that if he puts himself out there and actually tries to talk to them, and he might be successful at finding a lifelong mate.
That's true. But I mean, why would we care about these? I mean, there's going to be an entire stigma attached to these men. I mean, imagine a man's family. What is their family going to think of him? This
Well,
is
this
my
is
new
something you
partner.
would think they would hide, right? The sex
Yeah.
doll would be kept in the closet, right? This isn't something they're gonna parade around. But I did see some pictures of people taking the dolls to restaurants. I guess there's some guys out there who are just so shameless. They don't care. Maybe they did it just for that picture. Maybe they're activists against it. So they're showing the sex doll. They're like, hey, look at how a man looks with this thing. We're losers. So women would be repulsed and would people would fight out against it.
So it's kind of a counter propaganda.
Yeah, I just thought about that right now. We share those pictures around like, oh, look at this loser, right? That's what they want us to do. These people are actually geniuses,
That could be true.
or they're
Yeah.
really crazy.
But I mean, there's always going to be. I just don't see how that they're ever going to assimilate a sex robot into normalcy in society. I mean, you're
They
not going to
can't.
take
They
him
have
over to
to
your.
keep them in the closet. They have to keep it in mommy's basement and hide it from mommy. Because I bet once mommy finds that, she's throwing it out the window.
Right, exactly. Well, no matter how threatened women are by sex bots and how advanced and lifelike they're going to potentially become, they're never going to replace human relationships. I mean, anything meaningful. So why not welcome them as a tool of genetic cleansing? I view this as a correction. I mean, undesirable people all around are going to be the ones that are going to be attracted to this, and they're essentially going to be erasing themselves from the footprint of mankind. And I know that hurts the sensibilities of people who claim to care about white people procreating and reproducing, but why encourage the reproduction of some sick degenerate who has a thing for sex bots? I mean, isn't that kind of like culling the herd? Getting rid of these people that
Well,
are just disgusting?
you could see that nowadays, but if we didn't have pornography, if we didn't have this disgusting depravedness in our society, those people would be those people would be good citizens. They wouldn't be so sick in the head if they weren't so brainwashed, if they weren't so abused by the current society. They it's sad that their genetics are going out the window because it's not really the sex bot that's the problem. The sex bot is a symptom of the deeper, deeper problem. And you could go deep down that rabbit hole if you want. and you can see all the problems with our society. And it's really, really unfortunate.
But don't
The
you think
fact that
that's a little
they
bit of an okay, so pedophilia we all know is a sickness. It's something that will never be accepted in society, and when people think of that, they're automatically there's a revulsion to that, like it's a disease. I view people wanting to do the whole sex bot thing in the same fashion. I think anybody that is diseased enough in the head to want to pursue banging up a sex bot doesn't have any, it was probably messed up before before any sort of conditioning that took place. That's what I think.
I don't know, because we see pedophilia and stuff as a sickness, and perhaps it is like a genetic sickness, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. There's not enough studies done on this. They're actually really stopping the research. And that goes back to the capitalist system. It's not profitable to research things that will make people uncomfortable. What we want to do is we need to research things that will make people happy and comfortable so we can have more consumers. Yay, consumers. And also to protect those who are causing the downfall of our civilization. Because if actual honest research was done, in the next few years we'll find out everything we want to find out, and a lot of rich people would be in trouble. They'd be in a lot of trouble for promoting this shit. They would be branded as worse than murderers of civilization.
Well, it kind of makes you wonder, why hasn't society rebelled against the things that have happened as of late
They
leading up
are.
to that? Why
They
hasn't.
are. People are just too afraid to really be vocal about this, because you could be vocal about it as loud as I am. You could shout extremely loud, right? And you will be unemployable. You'll lose your job because you're employed. What, you're a political activist? What? You can't work here. You can't work there.
Right.
You'd be stuck. And I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's what I want to be. So I don't care if I'm unemployable. I don't want to be employed. But other people need to be employed to survive.
That's
That goes
true.
back to the capitalist system. It is not profitable to be a revolutionary. It is not profitable right now to be rebellious. What's profitable is to assimilate, to accept, to consume, to never question, to just be a robot, just like the sex robots. Just be the human equivalent of the sex robot, and everything will be okay, Goy. Everything will be okay. Just keep smiling, even though everything is going to shit, quite frankly.
Burning down around us, right? Hence the
Yep.
sex bot. So, what can women do to improve themselves as mating prospects against sex bots in the future? Do you think the competition is going to be stiff, to pardon the
No,
pun? And just how far along do you see sex bots evolving? I know you mentioned AI earlier, and I'm not really, I don't think I'm fully sold on the impending singularity apocalypse, but do you think it's possible that these things are going to be running they're going to be commanding human existence in the future, or.
I don't think they can go that far with the AI, because deep down inside, the man knows that this is a lifeless husk. This is not a real person. This is filling a void. This is not healthy. And one thing that the robot can never do is, I forgot what the hormone is. It dopamine? But when you hug somebody, when you have skin to skin contact, a hormone is
Oxytocin.
released. Yeah, a hormone is released, and it makes you feel better. It makes you feel happy. The robot can never do that. Never.
That's true.
That is a natural hormone that can never be replicated. And that is one of the natural measures put in place to prevent shit like this. And of course, maybe we'll see brothels of sex robots. Maybe a considerable amount of the male population will own them. But if that happens, polygamy is going to become a thing again, unfortunately. I don't promote polygamy. I don't want to be in a polygamous relationship. But if there's multiple women going after one man, they're going to have to compromise somehow.
Right. That's true.
And I don't like it. picturing this dystopic future of the alpha males having all the real women and all the beta males being sick and deprived and miserable with their little robots. I don't like thinking about that future. I would like to stop that from happening. You know, maybe what will need to happen is if sex robots become really prevalent, maybe like a revolutionary group or something will need to set off an EMP, which is like it's not really a bomb. It's like this electromagnetic field that just destroys all electric devices in its radius. It can
So
it
the
can
AI would
take
go
out a
down.
whole city block. Yeah.
So I
That
wrote,
would be funny. Like you have the red light you know what the red light districts are in cities?
yes, in the
So you
Netherlands.
have the red light districts, but instead of prostitutes, in 2025, there are sex robots walking the streets. And then the EMP goes off right there, and they all just flop down.
You just nuke everybody, though. I mean, if you really want. I mean, if there's sex
Well,
bots
this
walking around.
revolutionary group that would set off the EMP wants to save society. So instead of just nuking everybody and killing everybody, they would just, or maybe an EMP doesn't have to go off. Maybe there will be an oversurge in the electricity, and electricity would stop working, and we'll go back to the Stone Age. I don't know. I like to be optimistic about the future. I don't like to think of we're doomed,
Right.
they are taking over us, we are going extinct. That kind of attitude is very bad. It's very depressing. Let's think about something happy for once. Let's think about solutions. Let's think about the time we have left and what we can do about this. Hmm.
Well, I mean, what do you foresee women doing collectively to stop the sex bot revolution? Because I read, and you just brought up the Netherlands, a red light district. They had their first AI or robot brothel there, and it was picketed and threatened to be sued out of town by a group of prostitutes, live breathing prostitutes. So they had to move the brothel elsewhere. Do you see women doing the same thing here if and when it takes off? And is it going to be like prohibition? Or
You know, that might happen. I didn't think about that. I never heard about that article, but a lot of these militant feminists might see this as a way to make men view women as nothing like objects. So when they see a real woman, their brain will think, "Oh, robot must rape robot." So maybe maybe the feminists will save us from the sex bot revolution.
is there going to
I
be,
don't know.
ultimately, they're the ones that.
There definitely will be backlash from prostitutes because this is a legitimate threat to their business. This is something that they don't like, and uh, it's not healthy to have these things that look like a woman but are actually inanimate objects and the men just rape them. That's not healthy for men. That's not healthy for relationships in general.
Right.
It's just really, that's viewing people as slaves. And yeah, there definitely is going to be a big backlash from feminists. I think we're already seeing that since those prostitutes were able to chase out the
Why do you think
robot
the
muscle.
prostitutes are even threatened by that? Is it because of it
Because
affects their bottom line, or?
the human body only has a limit. A prostitute cannot constantly have sex 24/7.
That's true.
It's humanly impossible, and her lady parts down there get destroyed after a while, especially if she's not keeping up with health checkups. So these robots are made out of superior material that could withstand 24/7 abuse and rape. So
Oh
they,
my.
the lady bits in the robots will probably vibrate to add extra pleasure for the man. Real women can't do that. And once the men gets accustomed to that vibration, perhaps they won't be able to enjoy real sex at all, even if they have it, because they won't vibrate, it won't feel the same, and then those man's genetics are just out the window, gone, and the woman's genetics too are out the window because she's having a harder time finding a mate.
Right.
So,
Wow. That's mind blowing what you just said. I never even took that into consideration. Yeah, because when you put a stimulus on the brain enough times, your brain gets used to that stimulus and craves it over and over. So that's yet another stimulus that you described there with the
And they
butt.
crave more extreme, more extreme.
Mm.
Same with porn. When people start watching porn, they watch softcore, sweet stuff, and then they go to hardcore, and then suddenly they're watching men rip out women's hair and beating them up, and they're completely destroyed mentally, pretty much, from that stuff. So they need more extreme sex robots. What's next? The sex robot's gonna have spikes in her vagina? Like I saw,
Oh my God.
they have like dildos for sale with spikes on them.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
but you know, women could also be customers of these sex robots too.
that's true.
I'm pretty sure there are women out there who also they're the female equivalent of these disgusting guys. They see sex as only as pleasure and they're not satisfied enough with their toys. I was looking at the website of this one sex doll website, and they had an Asian girl with a male sex doll, and she was like hugging him and stuff. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I did see some tweets from women curious as to if they're going to be making male sex bots for women. And I'm just
I
thinking,
think men will be the main customers because
oh
for
yeah.
women it seems like the propaganda that affects women tries to make them asexual
Mm.
or or super sexual. It's either way. They're trying to just upset the natural balance. Same with men, but with men they lean towards more of the hypersexual um, route. And I think the male sex dolls will mainly be for gay men
That's true.
because
That could
you
potentially
research
be
into the gay community, the there's so
that'll be
many
a
gay
big
men.
market.
Yeah,
Big
there's so
market.
many gay men that have had sex with over 5,000 other men. And you're thinking, how is this guy still alive? How is his dick not burnt off from all the STDs? That would be, I think gay men will probably, actually, maybe gay men will be the biggest market because there is such a threat of STDs having sex with a real man. When you can have sex with your own male sex robot, his butt will vibrate for you.
And
He
then
can
with
do
the
all these
virtual
stuff for you.
reality and all that, I mean, people won't even have to ever try to have real sex again. Like the future generations that are coming into the world, they're not even gonna know what it's like that movie, what,
But they'll
Fifth
still have the
Element.
instincts. When they see a member of the opposite sex, they will still feel that primal instinct to start a family, to protect, to build a community. They will still have that instinct in them. And this instinct will destroy this depravity. This instinct in all of us is going to save the world.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so because our lives depend on it. So, so what's the final end game then of the sex bot revolution? What is going to happen to Westerners and Western society as a result of sex bots becoming part of mainstream culture?
Well, what's going to happen is the relationships between men and women will further decline. The sense of community will further be. There already is no sense of community, but this will affect smaller towns that still have that bit of traditionalism left. And eventually, the bourgeois ruling class, they're going to try to use these vices to create slaves to exploit people further. Maybe you will need a license to be a sex robot, and you better not think any wrong things, or else you can't have your sex robot. Maybe they'll use it as a privilege like that. I don't know. It could go either way. It's a big question mark. This is a really big step, and this is a really big thing.
Mm.
And at first, sex robots will not be accessible. They will be too expensive.
Mm.
Most people would rather sit at home and fap to porn. But when they do get accessible, when brothels open up everywhere, there will be a brothel right next to your elementary school in the future with robots, and your kids will see the robots every day, and they'll put it there just so your kids see those robots, just so they grow up and or maybe after school want to sneak in there. They will do that. And well, I honestly believe that we will put a stop to this. It will be no more. This will help gain. This will help the revolution. Uh, this will be something that we can talk about and gain more people on our side. Um,
Yeah, and people should
this
be
is something.
outraged by this. They shouldn't be. From what I've seen, the reactions have been mostly enthusiastic. A lot of them have been trolling these sex bot makers. I know there's a lot of mimetic warfare going on with that, but I've seen a pretty healthy portion of the people sort of enthusiastic about it, and then others will just kind of brush it off and, ew, that's disgusting. But nobody is outraged by it. Nobody is like, this
Yeah,
is a full frontal assault on our humanity. They're not thinking of it in terms of that.
I do see some people outraged. And now that this is a hot topic, we have another flavor of the month hot topic that we can talk about. And when we talk about this, we could then also talk about deeper issues, more important issues, and lead some people down the rabbit hole, try to teach them about where their society is going, and we could try to make them care. At least that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know what your intentions are with your new femininity. What are your
I hadn't
intentions?
actually really thought it. I mean, you and I came across each other, and I've talked about sex bots in tangentially on my blog, but I just all of a sudden it's exploding now. You know,
And this is an opportunity. This is a big opportunity, and I encourage everyone to take advantage of it. If you care about society, if you care about the future of your race, about your people, of just your community, no matter what you are, if you care about this, if you don't want to be annihilated, well, now you have it. This is an opportunity. If you're sitting back on Twitter crying about the end of the world, hey, this is something you could reach out to people with. Stop crying and do something.
so how would we then, like you have plans to do it? What is it going to take ultimately for Westerners to stop ushering in this kind of filth and dysfunction? Or
We need a complete revolution. We need to get rid of the capitalist system. We need to have a strong leader again. We need to promote nationalism again. And we need to remove this is a very foreign force. This isn't something that was in our society decades ago. Well, by decades, I'm talking about like since before the 1900s. Not yet 100 years, but pretty damn soon it'll be. So this isn't something that our great 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 grandparents would ever imagine. They would have a heart attack if they saw how society has decayed. So these foreign forces promoting this, they need to be stopped. They're using the capitalist system to promote filth. They're using because they've made it profitable to promote this stuff. They've made it profitable to destroy society, and most of these people don't have children. Angela Merkel, she does not have children. All these like billionaires, if you look at them, a lot of them, they don't. Well, some of them have children to inherit down to, but a lot of leaders and stuff, they don't have kids.
right.
These people don't care. They don't give a shit. All they care about is themselves in this moment. They live in this world. They don't live. They are not spiritual. They're not right. They live in this planet. Their sole purpose is to increase their profit in this planet. They're demonic. I don't know what else to put it as. They're purely demonic. And those entities, these demonic entities, need to be stopped. Right in their tracks, stopped completely. And we need to first attack what they are using to gain power. And that's the capitalist system. That's what they're using to gain power. That's how they are able to do this shit. That's how they're able to stop research. That's how they're able to control the political narrative. They're able to control democracy through capitalism, through their domination of the media, through their domination of the financial system, of every system. They got their little paws in it. It's the bourgeois, and they need to go. We need a full revolution at this point. I don't know how this is gonna happen. I'm just a 19-year-old girl. I'm not Vladimir Lenin. I'm not Adolf Hitler. Um, I'm not Washington. I'm not any of these historical figures. I am just a 19-year-old girl, and all I can do is speak my thoughts and hope that someone more powerful than me, someone who's meant to have that leading role, can shape the society, a better society for the future, better society, so my kids, so I'll be happy knowing that I could pass away knowing my kids and my grandkids will be successful, will be happy, and I'm sure you want that too for your kids.
Oh, definitely. I want that
It's
for
just a
you.
motherly instinct. You don't want to
Mhm.
think, oh my God, my kids are going to grow up around sex robots. They're going to bring them into the schools. You don't want to think these thoughts. You don't. It's
Well, it
terrible.
seems like when you don't want to think them, something new pops up that you never thought would happen, and
Oh yeah,
it
and
happens.
more new stuff is gonna pop out. For to create the revolutionary climate, things have to really go to shit, and it's gonna suck. People are gonna starve. People are gonna die. People are gonna be pissed off and have nothing else to lose, and that is when revolution happens. In fact, we're almost at that point, and the bourgeoisie, they think they can continue to exploit people. They think they can just push us to the edge. Where is our limit? We're about to reach it pretty damn soon, I hope.
Well, it's happening in Venezuela right now, so um, you know, the end game, the final straw. That's what's going to happen. That's what I see happening. So I don't know how to come up with any way of fixing it. It's like trying to swing at the ocean, swing at a tidal wave. How do you fight back against that?
Well, all I know is what I believe is right, what I believe is healthy, and I mean, we're all affected by propaganda in some way or another. We're all we all have a sickness that could probably be worked out. We're not perfect creatures.
Right.
And they're going to try to stop the revolution as hard as possible. They're trying to make people comfortable so they don't lose their shit. And that's another reason why sex robots are also convenient for them. Because if they can, you see these MGTOWs and alt-righters, they're on the internet and they're angry. They're angry at the establishment. They're angry at the government. So maybe they're thinking we can sedate these people with these robots. They'll be too busy raping their electronic uh, piece of equipment all day. They won't have any time to actually overthrow the systems in place that they
Well,
are pissed
everybody's
off.
already over medicated, fat, useless, dumb, and
I wouldn't say everybody. I'd say just a
people
significant
like
portion.
you are a very minute 0.0001% of the population. Most people don't even think about the kind of things that you or I do.
But this is why it's so important that people speak out about that really bugs them, because then we could reach out to the people who've never even considered that this is a problem. The people who are just mindlessly consuming propaganda, they don't realize that there's bigger issues here that they can help combat. They don't realize that they actually have more power. It's like you have a what is it called? The board that the pirate ships have. You know that board? So
I don't
there's a
know the
plank of
plank.
wood. Walk the plank. There's a plank of wood, right?
Right.
And it's off the cliff, right? And
Yes.
you see the bourgeoisie is just standing there near the water, near the cliff, but everyone else is holding him up. If everyone walked off the plank, he'd fall right off into the water. But
Well,
people don't realize that they could move. They feel trapped. They've created a prison, a thought prison. But we're not imprisoned. We actually have more freedom than we thought. You got freedom of speech. You have freedom of your own mind, and you can use that freedom.
well, you definitely have, and I've known about you for some time, and I'm truly thankful you came on today to join me to talk about these subjects. And you're a really bright young woman, and you're expecting a
Thank you.
child, and So you have a lot on your plate, and I'm just really glad that you could join me today, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Veronica.
Thanks for having me on.
Into the night, out of the dark.